just finished the Department of State open forum. This is the consulates. Anytime you want to get a visa, you have to go to the consulates or embassies, and that's governed by the Department of State. AILA has invited some of the top consular officers to share all the key updates, and there are so many. So we're gonna just fire them off one by one, starting with the first one, Jonathan.
All right, so the first one is we're finally able to renew our visas from within the United States.
This is huge news. Normally, you have to go to a consulate overseas, Mexico, Canada. That's easy, but some people have to fly across the world to go to Japan, Korea, or anywhere else just to get a visa to fly back in. It's insane. If these are issued by the United States government, why can't we get it here in the United States? A lot of people don't understand that, but the Department of State has jurisdiction over it. They're rolling out this pilot program, starting with the H visas and the L visas. And this pilot program is going to roll out by the end of 2023. A lot more details are to come, but it looks like it's happening.
Another major update is that more and more interviews are being waived. Department of State is trying to waive more in coming years.
And so if you can imagine having to go to the consulate or the embassy just to do an interview to get a visa to come into the US. So the consulates throughout the world, because of COVID, forced them to have to adapt to this new circumstance. We've heard that in Korea, almost 50% of F1 international student interviews are being waived. This does not apply to every single country, but it's going to happen more and more. And this is going to make getting a visa a lot easier and a lot more efficient.
Another big news is administrative processing. So the Department of State has improved its CEAC website. And on this website now, you can see more things. You can see whether you're refused, you have a hard denial, or whether you have a soft refusal.
But the bad thing is that you see more, and so there's more to be stressed about. We see this from clients all the time. What does it mean that it's administrative processing? What does it mean that I got 221G? What does it mean I got 214B? So you see more, but there's a lot more questions. So we want to clarify this right here, right now. Admin processing, it just means they're processing the case. It doesn't mean the case is denied. They're doing background checks. It just means they're working on it. Don't worry, it's the same thing as it's being pending. A 221G refusal means it's a request for evidence. They might need more information. So they're done processing it, but now they want more things. So they're gonna try to contact you by email, by phone. A 214B means you have an immigrant intent. But it doesn't mean you can't apply again. It just means this time, based on the facts that you've presented, they just might think once you get to the US with your visa, you're not gonna leave. You're gonna illegally work. So prove to them that you're not going to do that. You can reapply. Most of the time they recommend, wait 6 months, but that's not a hard and fast rule. Sometimes maybe when you went, your document just wasn't prepared well enough. You see more information on the website, it's a good thing, but now you have more cause for stress. But hopefully this explanation is able to help you. These are all things we tell our clients all the time.
Next on e-visa, congratulations to Portugal, because now people from Portugal can apply for e-visas. That means you, Cristiano Ronaldo, can finally get an E2.
So e-visas are treaty investor visas. You want to open a coffee shop, you want to open a small business, you can do that with an e-visa. It's by far one of the best business visas out there. It has no limits, it has no terms, and you can keep on renewing it, and the requirement and the qualifications are relatively easy.
And the next big thing is that it is possible to transfer your immigrant visa to a different country. But what do you have to know?
So we get this question a lot. For example, a Chinese national that's living in Australia or New Zealand, they don't want to fly back to China to get their immigrant visa, even though that's their country of birth. It is possible to change the post from China to Australia or New Zealand or Greenland or France for that matter. You just have to contact that particular post and have them request a transfer.
Another question that a lot of us asked is about CSPA. So recently USCIS updated CSPA policy. So we asked whether the Department of State will also follow suit, but unfortunately they're not going to change their policy.
You would think USCIS and the Department of State will have the exact same policies on these issues, but unfortunately their policies and their determination and their discretion are constantly different. And so this is a clear case where it is completely different. We're hoping that they will change it, but as of now, it isn't. However, we have seen a lot of clients, if they go through the consulate route where they will use the final action date, meaning their kids won't get a green card, what they do instead is they come to the US, where USCIS will use the filing date and freezing the child's date earlier. That way, their children can get green cards. We've done it, we've seen other attorneys do it, and that's kind of the workaround.
Every one of us came into the session with questions about the visa retrogression. Before, it has been moving pretty fast, but it has slowed down this year. So we've been asking the consular officers to provide more clarity, and unfortunately, they have some bad news for us.
Basically, what they said is things were fast because during COVID, there were less applications and there were more officers that were able to process them. But now, it's actually the reverse trend. There are less officers now, and there are more applicants, and so they have a huge backlog that they have to work through, and so the lines are just longer. And when the lines are longer, then visa processing has a retrogression, which means in the coming months, we're not going to expect the visa suddenly to become fast again.
Finally, we're ending on a good news: direct consular filing. So there are special circumstances that can allow you to directly file your case with the Department of State instead of going through USCIS first.
If, for whatever reason, applying with USCIS is just going to take too much time, but you have an urgent reason, you can directly file with the consulate and directly have them approve it, and then you can fly to the US. So we directly heard from the consular officer that it is possible to skip USCIS and that they can review your case. We've never done a case like this. We are dying to do a case like this. So if you have a case like this, we would love to talk to you about it. And that's it. If there's any questions that you have about what the consular officer said, any clarifications you need, feel free to leave a comment. We'll love to talk to you about it. Take care. Bye-bye.